So we're live.
Sound test.
Sound test. Okay, we're now doing a sound test. Sound test. So you hear me, money? I'm not sure if we're live, so if we're live, hi everyone, we're just doing a sound test. All good?
No, not yet.
Not yet, okay. This one's got a blue light on it.
Yes, that is okay.
Yeah?
That's Bluetooth. Yeah.
Okay. So let me know, Mum, when.
Keep saying something.
Okay. So I'm sitting here. This is the start saying the prayer.
Start saying the
Can
prayer.
people hear? People can hear, can they? Okay. All right. Welcome everyone. It's we're here in the peaceful land of joy, our magnificent traditional Tibetan temple, constructed by Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden, and it's the final Path to Enlightenment class of the year. So as usual, we'll start off with the prayers, from the prayers for the path of indivisible, great bliss and emptiness, and on page 19. So praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. Dewa Jipa Diten Champa Jibu Dewe Tano Dewa Nana Mipa Dadan Minanji Tampa Sanje Chandende Pavjawa Shatya Tupala Jatsano Chada Tatsu Chivo. Teacher, Bhagawan, Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly pure and complete Buddha, all-knowing, having poise, Sugata, apprehender of the world, navigator of beings to be subdued, incomparable, teacher of gods and humans, to the Buddha, the Bhagawan, the glorious conqueror Shakyamuni, we prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. Sangha Soti Jananda Chanchu Badutani Chatsuchi Taji Soti Pizonati to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened. Through the merit of my generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. To the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened. Through the merit of my generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. This ground, anointed with perfume and strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, the 4 continents, adorned with sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered thus, may all beings enjoy such pure lands. I prostrate my 3 doors with a mind of respect, and offer all actually arranged and mentally emanated offerings. I reveal all the downfalls and negativities that I have ever collected, and rejoice in the virtues of individuals and superiors. Please remain perfectly abiding until samsara is no longer seen. I request you to turn the vast and profound wheels of Dharma. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. Body born from 1,000,000 magnificent excellent virtues, speech fulfilling the hopes of infinite beings, a mind that sees all objects of knowledge precisely, I bow my head to the chief among the Shakyas, supreme sons of the incomparable teacher, carrying the load of all the conqueror's deeds, by their emanations appearing in countless realms, I prostrate to Maitreya and Manjushri. The mother of conquerors is difficult to fathom. The precise thought is in commentaries written by Jambavipa's ornaments, Nagarjuna and Asanga. I prostrate at the feet of those most renowned in the 3 realms. From these 2 great chariots come the excellent lineages of the paths of profound view and vast deeds, their essential points gathered thoroughly and without fault. Prostration to the lamp holding this treasure of your instruction. Giving explanation through compassion, by seeing precisely and completely the essential points of all paths of Sutra and Tantra, holder of the conqueror's entire holy Dharma, prostrations to the glorious Losandrapa. I, seeing all the infinite teachings, supreme way of crossing for those entering the journey to liberation, moved by compassion to deeds skilled in method, prostrations to the spiritual masters who make everything clear. The kind master is the basis of all qualities, and proper reliance is the root of the path. By seeing this excellence and through much striving, bestow blessings to be devoted with great respect. This gentle support of freedom, obtained this one time, is most difficult to achieve. Knowing its great value gives rise to a mind seizing its essence constantly day and night. Bestow blessings to generate this continuum unceasingly. It is like a bubble in water, this constantly moving body and life. Thus remember the swift collapse of death. Beyond death, like body and shadow, white and black karmic results follow after. By gaining firm certainty in this, the mass of faults, subtle and very subtle, are abandoned, and the accomplishment of all virtuous collections completed. Bestow blessings to ever attain conscientiousness. The qualities of samsara are unfit to be trusted, the door to all suffering. Do not be content with these enjoyments. By knowing its defects, bestow blessings to develop a great aspiration for the bliss of liberation. By that pure thought, great conscientiousness is drawn forth, and mindfulness and awareness of the individual liberation, the root of the teachings. Bestow blessings to make this the essential practice. Just as I myself have fallen into samsara's ocean, all living beings as mother are also like that. By seeing the responsibility for the liberation of beings, bestow blessings to be trained in supreme bodhicitta. However, by merely generating the mind, if not acquainted with the 3 aspects of ethics, enlightenment will not be attained. By seeing this excellence, bestow blessings to train with strong effort in the vows of the conqueror's sons. Pacifying distraction toward perverse objects, by way of proper analysis of the perfect meaning, bestow blessings to swiftly and continuously generate the path related to the union of calm abiding and special insight. Thus, becoming a vessel trained in the common paths, enter the Vajrayana, supreme evolution of all vehicles. Bestow blessings to engage the easy path itself, that sacred way of crossing for fortunate beings. The base of practice for the two aspects of attainment is when guarding the pure vows of commitment is found to be genuine and certain. Bestow blessings to protect them even at risk of life. Then by understanding properly the important points, which are the essence of the two stages of the Tantra classes, bestow blessings to practice according to these holy teachings, with continuous effort in the supreme four-session yoga. Like that, may the spiritual friend revealing the gentle path and the friends of proper practice stand firm. Bestow blessings to quickly pacify the masses of outer and inner hindrances. In all rebirths, may I never be parted from perfect gurus and the enjoyment of the glorious Dharma. By utterly completing all qualities, paths and grounds, may I quickly achieve the state of Vajradhara. So, as usual, we'll start off with some meditation. I thought we might do emptiness of the mind, a conventional ultimate nature of the mind in this one, as we're still on the special insight section in Path to Enlightenment. So, settling into meditation posture and determining to relax and determining to let go of all our worldly stuff and preoccupations for the duration of this session, so we can access the Dharma. And settling the body, maybe with 7 out-breaths, breathe out all stale, old air, any stale energy or air that's been in the body for a long time, with 7 out-breaths. If you like, you can be strong out-breaths. And 7 in-breaths. Imagine you're breathing in beautiful fresh air from the mountains or forests or from the coast, from the ocean, or from the Pure Lands. 7 big in-breaths. Then again, 7 out-breaths. Breathing out all in the form of black light, black smoke. You're breathing out any sickness and disease, any tension, any bad memories, anger, resentment, guilt, and so on. All negative karma, all obstacles, with 7 out-breaths in the form of black light, black smoke. And again, 7 in-breaths. And breathing in all beneficial qualities, all enlightened qualities. So good health and energy, vitality, or your wisdom, your compassion, love. And breathing these in from the universe, or if we like, from the Buddhas, such as Tara, Manjushri, or the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, or from our root guru, breathing in all enlightened qualities in the form of radiant white light. And we develop the mind of enlightenment. We develop our best possible motivation by recognizing that all living beings, innumerable fellow, mother, sentient beings, they all have the Buddha nature. They all have the potential for enlightenment. But bound by delusion and karma, experience endless suffering, like ourselves, within psychic existence. So in order to liberate all living beings, we've been shown this path from holy beings, and lastly from Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden. Then we must do our best. So for that reason, we meditate and study special insight in this session to quickly become enlightened for the benefit of all living beings. And to begin our meditation on the nature of the mind, we can simply focus on the sensation of the breath. Either the sensation as the air enters and leaves your nostrils, or the sensation in your abdomen of the breath. So stabilize on the breath. And as the mind moves inwards, we can have a sense of the breath appearing in the space of awareness. or in the field of awareness. And we can have a sense that in that spacious awareness is where everything in my life has appeared. Other people, the environment, every thought, every perception has appeared in this spacious awareness. And now the sensation of your breath is within this spacious awareness. We can ask, what qualities does this mind or awareness have? Does it have a particular colour and a particular shape in a particular location? And we can see it has none of these. Has no physical form. So what qualities does my mind have? What qualities does your mind have? It has clarity in that objects can appear without being obstructed. The breath can appear. Thoughts can appear. So it's clear. The other quality it has is it knows objects. It has awareness, or knowing, or experiencing. So stabilize on this conventional nature of your mind, its spacious clarity, and awareness, or knowing. And we can ask, what is the ultimate nature of mind? We have a sense, we have this thing, mind, my mind, your mind, this entity, mind. So we can look to find where is my mind. And we can look within all our virtuous thoughts, our good thoughts, and say, is that my mind? And clearly it's not my mind, because sometimes I'm grumpy, sometimes I'm upset, sometimes I'm angry, sometimes I'm egotistical, and so on. So the virtuous thoughts aren't my mind. So we're still looking to find my mind. So perhaps it's all the non-virtuous moments of mind. Is this my mind? But again, we can see clearly this isn't my mind. Sometimes I'm kind. Sometimes I'm patient. And so on. So all the bad stuff, the negativity, is not my mind. So we're still looking to find, and there's only one place left to look, in the neutral thoughts, neither virtuous nor non-virtuous. Is this where my mind, this thing, my mind, can be found? And again, we can say that's not my mind, because sometimes I'm kind, and sometimes I'm angry. My mind is. Is my mind found in the past thoughts, past moments? You say no, the past moments no longer exist, but my mind exists. is my mind found in the future moments? And again, we can say no, because the future moments don't exist yet, but my mind does. Is my mind the infinitesimally small present moment? We can say no. My mind is so much more complex than that, with so many different attributes. So after looking for your mind in the virtuous, the non-virtuous and neutral thoughts, in the present, the past and the future thoughts, you haven't been able to find this thing, your mind. And that absence is the emptiness of inherent existence, of mind. And stabilize on that absence, the emptiness of mind. And finally we can ask, so how does my mind exist? I know it exists because I am experiencing something now. And it exists as a mere designation, a mere imputation upon its basis, various moments of mind. So now we've seen the ultimate nature and the conventional nature of mind, the source of all of our experiences. And we can finish the meditation. Okay. I just wanted to read one quick quote from Geshe's Great Treasury of Mahamudra. I meant to read it at the end of the meditation, but never mind, like within the meditation. And he says, it is said by the Buddha in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra in 8,000 verses, O bhikkhus, mind does not exist in mind, because the nature of mind is clear light. Mind does not exist in mind indicates that mind does not inherently exist. It is thus an ultimate truth, and the Buddha is referring to the natural potential for enlightenment. Because the nature of mind is clear light, indicates the conventional nature of mind. It is a conventional truth and refers to the developed potential for enlightenment. Thus, within every person's mind is a natural and developed potential to achieve enlightenment, which is known as their Buddha nature. So, that's pretty good. Okay, so now we're on to Path to Enlightenment. This is the last one, so we've got quite a bit to cover. We're on page 863, Dependent Arising. And so I'm going to, sorry if it's a little bit of a rush through. So Geshe explains that dependent arising, that nothing exists by itself. Nothing stands by itself. Everything, all phenomena, depend on other things for their existence. That's the Buddha's teaching on dependent arising. So that's products and non-products. Products generally, they're always impermanent. Non-products are always permanent. So non-products are things like space or emptiness or absences. If you break a cup, that absence of that cup, specific cup, is forevermore. They're all dependent arisings. So Samsara and Nirvana, dependent arisings, dependent on our karma and on our actions. Samsara and Nirvana. So being an ordinary being or being an enlightened being, again, dependent arisings, dependent on our thoughts, dependent on our actions. So I want to quote Geshe briefly here. He said, all Buddha's emanation, Lord Tsongkhapa, said, if we don't perceive emptiness, then all life, we practice renunciation, bodhicitta, we can't directly cut all delusions. Tsongkhapa said, please understand the method of dependent arising. Of all Buddha's teachings, the essence of Buddha's teachings is dependent arising and emptiness. Therefore, we need to recognize dependent arising. If understanding dependent arising, then you easily understand emptiness. If emptiness you understand, then you easily cut all delusions. So that's what we just meditated on, the dependent arising of mind, the conventional nature of mind and the ultimate nature of mind. So dependent arising is said to be the king of reasons showing emptiness. All phenomena are empty of inherent existence because of being a dependent arising. And said to be the king of reasons because it presents both ultimate truth and conventional truth, as in everything. To say all phenomena are empty of inherent existence because they're dependent arising gives the conventional and ultimate nature of all phenomena. So, So with dependent arising, it's explained in the Path to Enlightenment that there's 3 different levels of dependent arising. So they're basically arising through depending on causes, depending on parts, and depending on designation. So depending on causes, I've read somewhere it's said to be arising through meeting. It's called arising through meeting, whereas depending on parts is called arising through relying, and depending on designation is arising through depending. But I can't quote where I read that. But anyway, the main thing is its causes. So And the path to enlightenment says everything, for example, the ocean is dependent on the four elements, is dependent on the sun, the clouds, rivers, and so on for its existence. Geshe explains our bodies are dependent on so many different things. There's that saying, we are what we eat. So some of us eat lots of Big Macs and thick shakes. So we are, that particular body is dependent on Big Macs and thick shakes. Some of us, we are what we eat. My name's Tim, so I obviously eat a lot of Tim Tams, and so on. And more generally, we depend on our karma for the types of bodies we have. That's a more specific cause, or the root cause of a particular body we have. And we also, the type of person we are, we depend on so many factors in our childhood, like our upbringing, our family, whether we were well treated or mistreated, and so on, what sort of culture we grew up in. So because we are dependent arisings, that's why there's a strong emphasis in the path to enlightenment to avoid bad friends, because we're easily influenced. We're not an island. So we're dependent on others. So it's worth picking your community to help you in your development and path to enlightenment, and so on. So Geshe also explains our Dharma practice depends on many causes. It depends on leisure and fortune. So we need a human rebirth. We need to be in a society where the Buddha's teachings are available. We need to be in an era when the Buddha has taught. We need to have a mind that's curious, interested in the mind and its potential. So leisure and fortune is important. And the path, all the various stages of the path, they precede each stage on the path to enlightenment depends on the previous stage. So for us to be motivated to practice, we have to, first of all, have some exposure, either through book form or through in person, to a holy guru, such as Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden, to become inspired and to know the path. We have to know about impermanence to get motivated. We have to know about this peerless human life and what value it has to get motivated. We have to know about karma to modify our actions and so on. So our entire practice is a dependent arising. It depends on so many different bits and pieces. Enlightenment is dependent arising. Path to enlightenment and enlightenment. So again, they depend on our Buddha nature, our conventional nature of mind, having that clarity and awareness, and our ultimate nature of mind, being the emptiness nature, which is, according to Maitreya, the sublime continuum, our ordinary minds having that emptiness nature. And through meditating on suchness, as in the base is our ordinary mind, the practice is meditating on suchness or emptiness, and then the result is the Dharmakaya, the transformation, the Buddha's nature body, the Svabhavakaya. So the emptiness nature of our mind, through meditating on emptiness, then transformation into the nature body of a Buddha. That's the sublime continuum. So again, a dependent arising. And enlightenment is also Chandrakirti. So that verse, compassion alone is the seed of the victors, something of the conqueror's rich harvest, the water for its development. and the sun that ripens that to be enjoyed for a long time. So our practice and our enlightenment is dependent on that seed of compassion, that best aspect within us, our underlying our natural kindness. Yeah. So, depending on causes, our innate self-grasping ignorance, when we're grasping at inherent existence or true existence, that mind isn't an analytical mind. So it basically establishes this entity, this truly objective entity out there, sort of. There's no recognition of causation. So there's no within the grasping mind. There's no discussion of whether this thing has causes, doesn't have causes. And naturally, we all understand things have causes. It's the basis for all of our actions. We do things. We put on the kettle because we know that's a cause for getting hot water. We go somewhere, we know it's a cause of ending up at that place. So we understand causation, but our innate self-grasping ignorance that sees an externally existent chair, an externally existent person, an inherently existent I, that self-grasping, it doesn't recognize causation. So the consequence, according to the Prasangika school, the consequence of something being inherently existent is that it is uncaused. It's not affected by cause and effect. So causation, recognizing clearly and deeply, recognizing arising through causes, then starts to chip away at our grasping at inherent existence. So the second type of dependent arising is arising through relying or depending on parts. So parts are the base of designation of all phenomena, the parts of the thing. So if you see someone over there, you might hear their voice, or you might see their outline, and you say, oh yes, there's John. So you see a part, and then you establish the object. And the same if we see a car, we see a temple, we see one aspect of it, and we establish the object, there's the temple and so on. So the base of designation is the parts. And all things are dependent for their existence on their parts. I wanted a quote from, again, the great treasury of Mahamudra, page 218, where Geshe says, the definition of a dependent arising is a phenomena that arises in dependence upon its parts. All existent phenomena are necessarily dependent arisings, because all existence have parts. Nagarjuna says in his fundamental wisdom on the middle way, because there are no phenomena that are not dependent arisings, there are no phenomena that are not empty. So that's the baseline definition of dependent arising, is depending on parts, because that includes non-products as well as products. It includes permanent things as well as impermanent. So, for example, space is defined as the absence of obstructive contact. But even space has parts. It has an east direction, west direction, north, south directions. So all things rely on their parts. Some dependent arisings don't have causes, such as non-products, but they do have parts. So for example, Australia is dependent on its parts. To be established as Australia, it has to have this particular coastline, this particular inland, these particular cities, these particular people, and so on. These particular animals, like duck-billed platypus and koalas and kangaroos. All these parts are the basis of it, the arising through relying on its parts, the establishment of Australia based on its parts. So, and the third type of dependent arising is arising through depending on designation. So, designation or imputation or labeling is not just describing, the process is not talking about just describing an existent thing out there, and there's different descriptions or different labels. It's talking about the actual establishment of the object through designation. And so for that reason, Buddhism really presents a multiverse, that through different designations it's possible to experience completely different worlds, such as the human seeing water, the gods seeing nectar, and the hungry ghost seeing the glass of pus. Or I was in the shower the other day, and then a daddy longlegs saw the water. For me, it's a lovely, relaxing shower. For a daddy longlegs, it's catastrophic. If he gets caught in the water, it's pretty much the end of it. Their legs collapse and so on. So it's designating a very different thing for that experience of water. So through designation, things define each other. So something is tall in a relation to something that's short. It's designated tall only in relation to their being short. Something is hot can only be designated hot in relation to something that's cold, and so on. Something that's good, because it's not inherently good, it's in relation or to the designation bad, and so on. So things define each other, and and the day or the week is designated. Yeah, it's dependent. Today is dependent on yesterday and tomorrow. Tomorrow is dependent on today and yesterday. So this is all through designation that any of those can be established. Then, so through designation, I suppose our minds become more flexible. We can start to take others' perspective and be less tied to our own perspective or a way of seeing things. And as we become more supple and more aware of dependent arising, then other designations are possible. We're not so rigidly tied to the way we see things. So there's three types of dependent arising, and what's interesting is that Nagarjuna said through seeing, if you see dependent arising, you see emptiness. But each one they refute slightly different things. So through designation, through understanding things are only established as that thing through designation, you're clearly then understanding things don't objectively exist, they depend on mind. So that's one way dependent arising is breaking things down. Through seeing how things arise in dependence on causes, then you're breaking down that things are uncaused, they're sort of set in stone type aspect of inherent existence. And through parts, I suppose, we're seeing, if we understand more deeply, things are only established on that base of designation of their parts. There's that thing is nothing more than a label upon its parts. Then we're breaking down this concept of this whole sort of complete thing established out there in space. So the different types of dependence break down different aspects of dependent arising. So I'll quote again, a quote from Geshe's oral teaching. He said, "The great Bodhisattva Nagarjuna, his fundamental treatise in the middle way, he said, because there are no phenomena that are not dependent arisings, there are no phenomena that are not emptiness. Therefore, phenomena, existence, and dependent arisings are synonyms. If it is a dependent arising, it is phenomena, and if it is phenomena, it is a dependent arising. Everything, every existent, is only dependent arising, only dependently existent. For example, all vehicles, the hero vehicle, the solitary realizer vehicle, and the Mahayana vehicles are only dependent arisings. They are dependent to great compassion. All realizations of the Hinayana and Mahayana are dependent to great compassion. How? Chandrakirti said, engaging in the middle way, heroes and solitary realizers arise from Buddhas. Buddhas arise from bodhisattvas. And bodhisattvas are dependent to the wisdom perceiving emptiness, great compassion, and wishing bodhicitta. Wishing bodhicitta and wisdom perceiving emptiness both arise from great compassion. So therefore, great compassion is the root cause of three vehicles, of the Hinayana and the Mahayana, as the cause of all realizations. And great compassion is also dependent arising, dependent to living beings. Without living beings, then great compassion is not possible. It's also dependent to suffering. Without suffering, there is no great compassion. For example, a superior Buddha is not an object of great compassion, as he's completely abandoned suffering. Therefore, great compassion is dependent to suffering. Great compassion is dependent to subject, object, and action. Great compassion is dependent to conditions and cause. Without causes and conditions, it's impossible to have great compassion. All existence are empty of inherent existence, empty of true existence, as they are only dependent arising. Then Geshe said, if you understand dependent arising, then unbelievable purification is possible. So one of the trainings on this path is when we meditate on emptiness, and then come out of the emptiness meditation. It's called the illusory-like appearance post-meditative equipoise. So one of the trainings is you come out of emptiness, then to focus on the appearances of the world as sort of within that awareness of emptiness. To realize they're qualified by emptiness, to have more of a sense of how things are illusory-like, dependent arisings. So it's only through our understanding of emptiness we can really start to see dependent arising. And it's only through seeing dependent arising we can really start to see emptiness. So they're two sides of the same coin. Like everything, yourself, you have those two sides. You have your emptiness nature and your dependently arisen, illusory-like nature, the appearances of you. and they're the same entity, the same thing. So I want to quote again Geshe in his Great Treasury of Mahamudra, some beautiful quotes from Lord Tsongkhapa on dependent arising, from page 215. And just to preface this, from Pabonka Rinpoche's text, he explains how Lord Tsongkhapa became inspired. He said, when Geshe Rinpoche came to realize the undistorted view of the Madhyamakans, his faith in Buddha, the teacher, welled up, and he composed a poem in praise of the doctrine of interdependent origination that Buddha had expounded. It is called In Praise of Interdependent Origination, or The Brief Essence of Eloquence. Geshe Rinpoche's writings concerning the view are difficult for us to comprehend, yet if we study them over and over again in detail, we will gain insight into emptiness. So I'll quote some of the verses Geshe gives here on page 215. He says, O wonderful teacher, this is Tsongkhapa speaking, O wonderful teacher, wonderful refuge, wonderful supreme speaker, and wonderful protector, excellent teacher of dependent arising, to that teacher I prostrate. And then he said, when you see dependent arising as the meaning of emptiness, emptiness is nature, and doer and action are feasible and not contradictory. Therefore, whatever arises dependently is by nature primordially devoid of aspect. Yet by appearing, all this is said to be like an illusion. Because no phenomena exists without being a dependent arising, there are no phenomena without a nature of emptiness. So Geshe gives commentaries on those verses. We haven't got time. There's a beautiful short text, and you can download it. I think Thubten Jinpa gives a really nice, concise translation. So next we go to page 866. I'll see how we're going for time. Yep, good. So page 866, then Geshe then explains meditating on the emptiness of phenomena. So last week we looked at the emptiness of persons, and we did the 4-part meditation. And so we'll briefly look at the emptiness of phenomena. So again, I'll quote Geshe with regards to the emptiness of phenomena. I'll quote Geshe on oral teaching. He said, a teacher said, our life is very short. The object of knowledge is countless. We can't recognize everything. What to do? Practice the essence of Lord Buddha's teachings. Practice correct view and correct action. What is correct action or pure action? No harm other living beings is pure action. Pure view or the correct view, the Buddha taught 84,000 dharmas, including the 3 wheels of doctrine, the wheel of the 4 noble truths, the wheel of signlessness, and the wheel of good discrimination. The wheel of doctrine of signlessness has 3 divisions. In 8,000 verses, 100,000 verses, Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, and the Essence of Wisdom Sutra. These 3 foremost show emptiness. This is Geshe speaking. He said, today I show the Essence of Wisdom Sutra. Shariputra questioned to the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, and Avalokiteshvara properly answered. That is very deep, very subtle, short verses. Therefore we must practice emptiness. Then every practice of Dharma has more power. If you don't understand emptiness, then every practice of Dharma has less power. So that was just a bit of a lead-in So I'll quote now from Great Treasury of Mahamudra, page 239. Geshe gives a commentary on the Heart Sutra. So he quotes the Heart Sutra. It says, "Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty." Then Geshe comments here, "Form is empty, emptiness is form," shows that form and its emptiness are the same entity. That is, the conventional truth and ultimate truth of form are the same entity. Form is empty points to the ultimate truth of form, its emptiness of inherent existence. Emptiness is form points to the conventional truth of form, and that only by way of its emptiness does form manifest. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. Shows that form and its emptiness, the conventional and ultimate truths of form, are nominally distinct or different in being different isolates. So they're different isolates of the same entity. So in the same way a table and its colour are different things. They're different isolates, but they're the same entity. They're all part of the table, or the table and table colour and table legs. So that Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, really extraordinary essence of the emptiness and this emptiness of phenomena in particular. So a little more from Geshe's oral teachings on this. He said, "Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. This is very difficult to understand. Form is not other than emptiness, and emptiness is not other than form. So form is empty, means form is empty of inherent existence. It's empty of true existence, and empty of independent existence. So all form is empty of all those things, including our body." Geshe then says, "Emptiness is form," means from the nature of emptiness appears form. Emptiness is not other than form, and form is not other than emptiness. Means form and emptiness are the same entity. They're not different entities. So the one, form and its emptiness, they depend on each other. The emptiness of form depends on its base, the base of emptiness, the particular form, like the emptiness of your body. That form depends on your body. It's the basis of the emptiness. And your body's form can only exist and function because it is empty of inherent existence. It is empty of true existence. The form depends on emptiness. Your body depends on its emptiness for its existence. And the emptiness of your body depends on your body for its existence. And they're inseparable, same entity. And realizing them, we cut psychic existence and all suffering. So then, there's a lot of material today. I didn't time this very all that well. Then we go to page 866, the examples of emptiness of phenomena. And Geshe gives a few examples. I'll just briefly quote some. So he quotes the emptiness of the body. So some people identify very strongly with their bodies. My body's so fat, my body's so thin, it's so ugly, it's so strong, it's so beautiful. Very strong identity with our body. Geshe explains that it's to see the emptiness of our body, we have to look for our body. within the parts? Is it separate from the parts, this thing body? Is it one with the parts? Which part is it one with? So you can go through, is it my left arm? Is that my body? Is it my right arm? Is it my liver? And you go through all the parts and you can't find this entity body, this thing you've always known existed, and it seems so obviously there, and you look for it and you cannot find body. And so then at that point you realize the emptiness of inherent existence of your body. Same with things, Geshe describes currency. So we have a sense of how $100 note just jumps out of you. You see $10 or $20 on the footpath, and you know your heart almost stops for your good fortune, and the value just jumps out at you. But that value, if we look for the value within the parts of the note, we can't find it. It's not separate from the note. And it's, if we look within each aspect, the ink, the paper, you can't find that value. It's merely designated to the note. The same way the body is merely designated to the body. Then Geshe talks about emptiness of the mind. So we've had a bit of a meditation on emptiness of the mind. You could say when you're looking for amongst the parts of mind for your mind, you can't find it, then you can say you've lost your mind, or he or she's lost their mind, lost their minds. But the mind is still there as a mere designation. But again, if we look in the parts, absolutely, 100%, we're not just pretending to look, and we're not just agreeing with this doctrine, but we're absolutely doing our best to find the mind, and then we're gobsmacked because we've looked everywhere and it's not there. So that's what we're trying to arrive at, the gobsmacked moment, the absence of this phenomena. Then it talks on 869 of the emptiness of delusions. And Geshe says, once you've realized the emptiness of person's phenomena, delusions will no longer arise. You will no longer see the object of attachment as inherently attractive or the object of anger as inherently repulsive. So we see, when we're highly charged, emotionally charged, then inherent existence, things appear more dramatically inherently existent. The I appears more clearly as this fixed entity, very clear entity. And if someone's really annoyed us, then they're incredibly annoying, or they're selfish, they're stupid, they're egotistical. It just jumps out at you from the side of the object. That's how they exist. That is them. So they appear inherently or truly, independently, nasty or egotistical from their own side. That's established from the side of the object, sustained from within the object. Intrinsically, they're like that. That's the way it appears to mind, grasping in inherent existence. And so through seeing emptiness, that verse in the perfection of patience, by whom, when, and how are we cut? So then the object, the person, the nasty person, if we actually can see their emptiness of that nasty person appearance, then that breaks that down. The I that's been insulted no longer appears in inherent existence, and so on. So delusions are destroyed by emptiness. It's the only thing that actually completely destroys delusions, overcomes them permanently. Then emptiness of, I think page 870, that's really encouraging verse by Aryadeva. Those of little merit will not even have a suspicion of this Dharma, for even merely the suspicion will shatter psychic existence. So even if we get a bit of an inkling that one thing, whether it's the I or something else, doesn't inherently exist, then we're starting to get a suspicion that the key, the sort of what they call it, the keystone in church, in old buildings, as a keystone or a keystone of an arch. You pull that out, and everything falls. So the psychic existence and suffering disintegrate once we gain that suspicion, and our realization of emptiness can transfer to other things. Then Geshe talks about emptiness of the mind, emptiness of time. So you search for, you say, did you have a good year last year? Yep, 2019 was a good year. I know it was an awful year. So the year appears as a defined entity. Then if we look again, we look separate from the parts or within the parts. Obviously it doesn't exist separate from the moments of the year. So we look within the year and we can't find this entity, 2019. So we see the emptiness of the year. Then 873 talks about emptiness of the path. So we sort of tend to grasp at the path. The path, this is the thing that's going to save us. And my practice, my practice is so important. My path is so important, and I'm going to start here in ignorance, and I'm going to end there in enlightenment, So it's a very defined sort of concept of what the path is. And we don't see the emptiness of the path. And so we're grasping at this path. And so, just reading the notes. Yeah. So if the path was inherently existent, then Geshe explains we wouldn't be able to eliminate suffering and delusion. It's only because the path is nominally existent, it's dependent arising, it's a mere designation, then because of that we can traverse the path, and because of that because of our mind being a mere dependent arising and the path being a mere dependent arising, the two can merge and the path can become part of our mind, and our mind can evolve. And if they were inherently existent, neither our mind could change and the path couldn't interact with our mind. So, yeah. So then Geshe describes the 4-part meditation on phenomena. It's the same as the one on the emptiness of mind, of the I, that we did last week. So identifying the object of negation, the view of inherent existence that we hold, got to clearly identify that. Recognizing the pervasion, if that thing exists, it's either separate from its parts or within the parts. And then looking separate from the parts and looking within the parts and seeing this absence. So, and these are the meditations that Geshe again and again and again gave. So, for example, the diamond slivers are here in the Path of Enlightenment, but it was very infrequent that Geshe would instruct us with that in meditation. It's harder to understand. So the diamond slivers looks at the emptiness of production. And so if you can see the emptiness of production, that there's no findable production, then you realize the object is empty. But it's harder to understand because you look to see things aren't produced from themselves or from inherently existent others. So it's harder to get a conviction that you've exhausted all possibilities of production. So generally, the one Geshe gave again and again and again is just look for the thing, and you can just look within the parts, because obviously the thing's not existing outside of the parts. Just look within the parts and that's enough. You can't find it, and that's enough to get to emptiness. If we want to do more, we can look within the collection of the parts and so on, and outside of the parts, but the key thing is this obviously has to exist somewhere within the parts, and you can't find it. So, okay, we're very close to the end. So, there's that's the Prasangika view. This presentation Geshe gives, it's the only view that doesn't, all other schools fall to the extreme of findability. So it's the only view, according to the consequence school, that actually presents the middle way as it is. So this mere dependent arising, mere designation, and emptiness, the ultimate truth. And so it's a very subtle view to get to, but it's the key for us developing our wisdom. And that all things are illusion-like, they're dream-like, and they're mere they're convention dependent on designation, but dependent on parts, causes, and conditions to function. So So I'll just very briefly, Geshe, the perfection of wisdom talks about 20 divisions of emptiness. We haven't got time to go through all of those. They're the divisions of special insight. You can go through individually and study this section in more detail. And then lastly, Geshe looks at the criterion of having developed special insight. So that's that bliss of pliancy when engaged in analysis. So calm abiding, we gain this bliss of pliancy when we're engaged in concentration. When we meditate on emptiness, we're analysing to find the object. This yogi who's got calm abiding loses the bliss of pliancy, but then stabilizes again on the object, and gradually through analysis and stabilization gains the bliss of pliancy even when meditating and analysing emptiness, and a special insight. Then Geshe talks about the benefits of meditating on emptiness, the main benefit being the direct opponent and final opponent to all delusions. So all of your life, any discomfort, any suffering you've had, from the mildest boredom through to intense anger and excruciating pain, it's the complete antidote to all of that. He said we should notice a great change in your mind when you start to get somewhere in your emptiness meditations. Then negativity is less and less, and positive quality is easy to develop. And this is on page 890, and that we gain 6 benefits of our ethics become more pure and don't degenerate for many lives. It's easy to practice the perfection of generosity, and particularly the generosity of Dharma, with some insight into emptiness. We gain the deepest level of compassion. So Chandrakirti explains 3 levels of compassion, and the deepest one is compassion that's conjoined with understanding the emptiness of living beings. Then patience becomes easy, it's the 4th benefit. Then your 5th benefit, you realize your dedication of merit to living beings. You'll actually traverse the path. And 6th, naturally have respect for others, no pride or jealousy. So respect for Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, holy beings, and for ordinary beings. Through realizing emptiness, I suppose you become supremely humble because you've realized selflessness or egolessness. So, that was the rapid completion of the path to enlightenment. But like during the break, it's a really good opportunity to study this section very slowly and in detail, because I certainly didn't do it justice. And also for those with the great treasure of Mahamudra, obviously there's fantastic emptiness teachings in that. So as this is the last part of the year, and it's the end of, I've been doing this for 3 years of the path to enlightenment, so it's gone a bit slower than expected, but sorry about that. But I'd like to dedicate anyway our efforts over those 3 years in the path to enlightenment to the rapid return of Loden Rinpoche, because it's extraordinary to have a being that has realized the path to enlightenment. Sorry. Just snap out of it. To have a holy being teaching. Anyway, so we better finish off with the prayers. All right, so we'll do the dedication prayers. So dedicating to the rapid return of Loden Rinpoche to extraordinary holy being, being amongst us and teaching the path. And we'll say the prayers. I'm trying to find the page now. The final prayer of the path to enlightenment. And I've gone over time. Geshe was always a bit of a stickler for time. So we'll just say in English, the final prayer of the graduated path, composed by Lord Tsongkhapa. By the two collections vast as space, amassed with effort for a long time, may I become a chief of conquerors, a guide for all beings whose mind's eye is blinded by ignorance. Also, in all lives who will not yet come to that, may Manjushri favour me with his compassion, finding the supreme path, complete with all stages of the teachings. May I please the conquerors by practicing well. By my precise understanding of the essential points of the path, with skillful means drawn along by strong compassion, and by dispelling the mental darkness of beings, may I uphold the conqueror's teaching for a long time. Where the supreme precious teaching has not spread, also where it has spread but become degenerate, with a mind deeply moved by great compassion, may I make clear this treasure of benefit and bliss. The stages of the path excellently established by the marvellous deeds of the conquerors and their sons give glory to the minds of those aspiring for liberation. And may the conquerors' deeds be long preserved. May all humans and non-humans remove the obstructions and establish conditions favourable to cultivating the excellent path. Never be parted for all of their lifetimes from the purest of paths which the Buddhas have praised. When someone makes effort to practice properly the 10 points of conduct of the Supreme Vehicle, may he always be assisted by the mighty protectors, and may oceans of good fortune spread out reaching all. And maybe we can do the praise to Mahakala, if you don't mind. We'll just take, the protector of the Mahayana. Geshe said the Mahakala is the enemy of selfishness and self-cherishing. So we'll do the Mahayana Protector. Yuzi Chandra Zigla Chaksalu Jata Danchi Vinayatana Napo Champo Tagi Shanta Chan Chanta Tuji Janji Lampajan Ye Padre Guba Padre Radhe Dhamma Dhamma Runi Dhakudha Yam Pato Padani Dhansezo Deshin Zarpa Judne Chenvaje Zapojani Chevana Pazi Chantam Tapo Hudadendua Talva Sindura Gilet Paju Jiva Mitya Japoditata Tatat Miguna Chudasata Vichitatam Nayi Vulatam Shinde Jani Tamalin Zepe Padan Jatu Panajatsoto Sanjitan Panyam Pasan Padan Tachadru Panyam Pata Padan Tate Panato Tantinanti Jinan Bachitan Chijivada Chidanu Chidnyadu prostrations to the quickly acting Trenrezi, whose feet with anklets tread on Ganesh. Great Black One with tiger skin lower robe, 6 arms in aspect adorned by snake ornaments. By the right are held a cleaver, middle a rosary, and a strongly twisted damaru, the left holding skull cup and trident, similarly a lasso by which the binding is done, wrathful face, fangs in bared aspect, 3 wrathful eyes, hair blazing upright, brow most beautifully, excellently anointed with cinder. At the crown, Akshobhya, complete regent, is permanently affixed. You have a necklace of 50 blood-dripping human heads, and a crown adorned by the jewelry of 5 dried skulls. By this praise you come from the tree and take my torma. Praise and prostrations to the glorious 6-armed one. Thus protect the Buddha's teachings from demons. Praise and help to raise up the rare Supreme Three, and pacify all bad conditions and hindrances for us all leaders, students, together with our entourage. Please bestow quickly whatever attainments are wished. Ditadipinanta Devayan Dusandi Shikti Shitan Chichi Zipamunda Madhurupada Nanta Dancho Zimpi Juvuma Ditu Diziratun Tuda Techato Lojitan Midrashim Nijon Jansen Yang Tang Tawada Rinyi Nanji Dupata Shinjo. Whatever white virtues we have thus created, we dedicate as causes, enabling us to uphold the holy Dharma of Scripture and realization, and to fulfill without exception the prayers and deeds of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the three times. By the power of this merit in all our lives, may we never be parted from the four wheels of the Mahayana, and may we complete the journey on the paths of renunciation, bodhicitta, pure view, and the two stages. By this virtue, may all beings complete the collections of wisdom and merit, and attain the two holy bodies arisen from wisdom and merit. May the precious superior mind of enlightenment be generated in those who have not yet generated it, and not decrease in those who have developed it, but increase continuously. So thanks everyone. Next week is White Tara, our final event of the year. And do come out. You're very welcome to come out on Saturday mornings for our working bees, and we'll have outdoor communal tea and so on. Thanks very much. Cheers everyone. Thank you. Oh, also a big thanks to Mckibben, Venerable Mckibben La, who's enabled all this to happen. So thank you.